All right, guys. So CNN. I thought that they were headed in the right direction when news came out that they're making some changes, right? Their ratings are in the tank, right? Nobody's really watching CNN, and I thought that because of that, they were going to try to head in a more moderate direction, maybe have some more conservative voices, or at the very least, I was hoping they would expand their viewpoint a little bit because they can't beat MSNBC at riding the DNC game. They just can't. Okay, so they're trying to split the Democrat audience during a time in which the Democrats have checked out of politics, and ultimately they're not gonna be able to compete. Right? They need viewership. Okay, and that's why they're making some changes. And I thought they were moving in the right direction. However, this story coming out in regards to CNN firing Rick Santorum because of some comments that he made about Native Americans confirms to me that they're not headed in the right direction and that they are a dumpster fire. Okay, so let's get into the story here because I think that what we're going to see here is really going to reveal the current state we're at in regards to liberal hypocrisy. How they don't care about any of the things that they claim they care about. What they really care about is making conservatives look like racist, sexist bigots. And that's it, right? And they don't even want to hold themselves to that same standard that they set other people. So let's read here. CNN has dropped Rick Santorum as a senior political commentator amid controversy over recent disparaging remarks the former senator made about Native Americans. Speaking at Young America's Foundation event last month, Santorum said, quote, "We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there was nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, there isn't much Native American culture in American culture." Now, people thought that this comment here was so bad, it was so racist because, although it is a little dismissive of Native Americans, obviously they were here, they had their own culture, they had their own tribes. Unfortunately, with contact with Europeans, they got exposed to disease that wiped out most of the Native Americans, right? And the super woke revolutionaries love to conveniently leave out that fact, right? They try to act like the white man came over here and just killed all the Native Americans indiscriminately through warfare, when most of them died because of disease, right? But, although it is, somewhat dismissive and probably not the smartest thing in the world, probably definitely not something that I would have said. Okay, I'm not even trying to defend Rick Santorum here, but is it really a comment worth firing somebody for? I mean, really, we heard worse comments on TV all the time, right? Is it really something that's worth firing somebody for? If anything, it's a misinterpretation or, an underappreciation for Native Americans in this country. I mean, that's what it is at worst. Rick Santorum, what they're saying is that they can confirm that they parted ways. Allison Rudick, vice president of HNL Communications and CNN Diversity Inclusion, told Axios by email. Santorum, who was also a former Republican presidential candidate, said in an email statement to Axios, "When I signed on with CNN, I understood that I would be providing commentary that is not regularly heard by the typical CNN viewer." Well, yeah, but, hey, bashing Trump, okay, is not going to be enough to save you, right? They don't really care about your conservative viewpoints. What they really wanted you for is to bash Trump. They told you that, we're going to sign you up so that, you can, give us a conservative perspective. But you got to make sure you bash Trump too, right? And that's what they really wanted out of Rick Santorum, and that's what they got. Now that Trump's not around anymore, he's an expendable piece, right? Hard lesson in life, okay? He added he greatly appreciates the opportunity CNN provided him over the past 4 years and that he's committed to continuing to fight for our conservative principles and values. Santorum appeared on CNN's Cuomo primetime not long after the Young America's Foundation event and to explain his comments. Santorum said he misspoke and that he was not trying to dismiss Native Americans. CNN leadership wasn't particularly satisfied with that appearance, an executive told HuffPost, which first reported the news of Santorum's departure from the network. None of the anchors wanted to book him, the executive added, so he was essentially benched away. So the super woke analyst, right? Don Lemon, so Cuomo had him on, so I don't know, maybe Cuomo was mad after that. I guess Jake Tapper, Whoop Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, all those other people. Apparently, they blackballed Rick Santorum for these comments. They was like, "Oh my God, you did too much. It was too much for us. We can't have you on our show because you said something racist about Native Americans." Again, they have somebody literally that's a primetime analyst in Cuomo who we know was working with his brother who'd been accused of allegations that are not necessarily pro-woman, okay? And also allegations about the nursing home scandal that are not pro-life or anti-corruption. But yet, he still has a job. He still has a job. It goes on to say, CNN split with Santorum follows pressure from indigenous-led groups and others who call on the network to fire the former senator. Quote, Rick Santorum is an unhinged and racist and embarrassing racist who disgraced CNN and any other media company that provides him a platform, said Fawn Sharp, president of the National Congress of American Indians, in a statement last month. Televising someone with his views on Native American genocide is fundamentally no different than putting an outright Nazi on television to justify the Holocaust. Sharp added, any mainstream media organization should fire him or face boycott for more than 500 tribal nations and our allies from across the country and worldwide. Following news of CNN's decision, it doesn't matter of if, but when justice is served. All right. So Native American tribes apparently spoke out about this. Okay, and they're upset and they call for, Rick Santorum to be removed. But on unreliable sources with Lil Brian Stelter, they discuss this move. And I want you guys to see how this lady basically says that apparently Rick Santorum and his conservative viewpoints, are not tolerable by CNN's audience. Take a listen.
So, this decision actually reminds me a lot of the decision in 2012 for MSNBC to cut ties with Pat Buchanan, who had been on the network for a decade for some racist and nativist things that he had said. And in this case, too, it's not that Rick Santorum said something that was unusual for the sets of beliefs that he has. It's just that the tolerance of CNN and its audience for those beliefs seems to have changed. And so that, I think, is the most important context for what happened here.
Okay, guys, so I don't know what audience CNN actually has. They don't really have an audience, okay? But the little audience they have left, you mean to tell me that they can tolerate the Cuomo scandal and all the things that go along with the Cuomo scandal, but they can't tolerate those comments from Rick Santorum? Or they can tolerate Jeffrey Toobin, right? And the accusations of him basically, doing some inappropriate things on camera, okay, in front of women, but they can't tolerate some words that Rick Santorum said. So what are you trying to say about the audience of CNN here, right? What does that say about the executives? The fact that they'll host somebody like Cuomo, who've covered for his brother, who've been accused of, again, all kinds of stuff, and they didn't fire him. They're not firing Jeffrey Toobin, who've, again, done some things that been offensive to women. What does that say about CNN's views on women? Because I got some serious questions now. How does CNN actually feel about women? I feel like that's very disrespectful at this point for them to continue to host those two and then turn around and fire Rick Santorum because his conservative views are not tolerable by the audience. Again, what message are you really sending about CNN? I got questions. And guys, I'm not even trying to defend Rick Santorum, right? I'm really not. Like, I don't endorse anything that he said. I don't endorse any of his comments. It's not something that I would have said. But, hey, I get it. Native Americans were offended. And, they called for him to be fired. I'm not Native American. I understand. They were offended. But I really have to question CNN and the liberal hypocrisy here on multiple levels. Not just CNN, but just the liberal hypocrisy in general when it comes to these subjects. But again, guys, like I said, I try to tell you, the Democrats, when it comes to this woke signaling, they don't really care, right? They don't really care about it. What they care about is grandstanding. They want to grandstand and they will embarrass conservatives who, again, happen to just, say things that sometimes, again, doesn't appeal to the mainstream. What he said, like I said, I don't necessarily endorse what he said at all, but at the end of the day, is what he said worse than what some of these analysts, what Cuomo has done? what some of these analysts that are still employed by this network have done. Do you care about words more than you care about actions? That's a serious question. These Democrats, they have more smoke for the Republicans and conservatives for things that they say than they have smoke for their own when it comes to things that they actually do. And they're the loudest when it comes to women and racism. They're the loudest when it comes to that stuff. But again, when Lori Lightfoot goes out there and makes racist comments, they have nothing to say. Crickets. With Cuomo scandal, they have nothing to say. Crickets. But oh, lo and behold, if a conservative says something like that, it's the worst thing ever. He has to be fired. You already don't have any conservative views on your network. Your network is struggling because you don't have conservative views. Not because you're not liberal enough. It's because you're not conservative enough. That's why your network is struggling. And you're firing the few conservatives that are on the network because they misspoke. If you got smoke for conservatives, you need to have that same smoke for your own. And this is why I get frustrated when it comes to these Republicans that keep entertaining the whole Trump and the Capitol and the election. The ones that keep entertaining all this stuff. Because essentially they're doing it because the liberal media is pressuring them to hold each other accountable. The liberal media is saying, you Republicans need to hold each other accountable when you guys do wrong. Right? But see, the liberal media and the Democrats too, they don't hold themselves accountable when they do wrong. They don't. And then you got Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger that go out here and want to virtue signal and tap dance for liberal networks, okay, and the Democrat Party. But again, if they say something out of line, they're going to be the first ones out the door. That's what happened to Rick Santorum. That's exactly what happened to Rick Santorum. You are the first one out the door. You will be the first one kicked out of the party if you fall out of line. So yeah, you can go out there, bash Trump all you want, entertain the liberal media all you want. But once they're done with you, if you say something that they don't like, you're the first one that's gone. They won't even fire or punish any of their own. They won't punish Maxine Waters for inciting violence. They won't punish her for that. She won't ever get punished for that. They're not punishing Lori Lightfoot. They're not going to punish Chris Cuomo. They're not going to do anything to their own. They're not going to. I mean, look, this investigation going on in New York with Andrew Cuomo, them investigating him, they're probably prioritizing investigating Trump over Cuomo. And what Cuomo did actually cost people lives. But I guarantee you, what you're going to see is that Cuomo investigation is going to be swept under the rug. They're not going to really move on it. They're investigating. And they're going to bring Trump to the forefront. That's exactly what's about to happen. But yet, again, these Republicans go out here and think that, oh, well, I need to be on the right side of history when it comes to January 6th and when it comes to all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, you've already said what you have to say. You don't have to keep entertaining the Democrats. You don't have to keep doing this for the Democrats. They don't like you. You're never going to be accepted. So why do you keep doing it? Because, again, if you fall out of line, you will be the first one to go. You will be the first one to go. So it is what it is. But, you know, like I said, I'm not necessarily defending Rick Santorum. I think his comments obviously were, reckless. But at the same time, what he said was not worse than what a lot of these people have done that are still employed by this network. But for whatever reason, you know, CNN doesn't feel like they should fire them or punish them for the things that they've actually done. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.